Hello there. It's Lumi Ray here, and we are on No Substitutes podcast. Today, I have a very special guest. She's actually someone who's been in my life for a long time, even before, you know. Um, she's a Libra. She's probably one of the most intelligent people I know, and she's a very talented artist. Welcome, Cassidy Sisk.
Hi. Thanks for having me.
I know, I'm so excited.
Yeah, this is fun.
I know, I'm so excited you came into town for this and also some lame Cali Reggae Fest, but it's for free, so it's okay.
Yeah,
I
it'll be
forgive.
fun.
I forgive you.
Gwen.
Gwen Stefani will be there. Okay, fine. Um, how's the day? I mean, I've been with you all day, but
It's good. I feel like we woke up early
hmm
despite our little sake shenanigans last night.
But it was nice. It was like
Yeah,
it was a fun little booze cruise we had at
for sure.
Katsuya. And then we came home and smoked a joint, and we could not get through the last song without cringing.
It's not as good as I remember.
No, Liam Hemsworth is
Kind of mid.
had a nightmare about him after that. Okay. uh, well, let's get into it. What would you say are three qualities, three ingredients, I guess, that make up kind of for what you do with your collages?
Um, Definitely being like having a vivid imagination obviously helps a ton.
hmm
Um, and then just, yeah, kind of like not thinking about other people's perceptions.
hmm
I feel like at first it was like hard because I was making art and I was like, oh God, like what are people gonna think and stuff. And it just like puts this pressure on when
hmm
really you kind of just have to like not give a fuck and just do it if it's weird and doesn't make sense and
hmm
like just
There's a
kind of like
yeah. No, there's a quote. I don't know who said it first, but whether you're writing or artist or just have those visions, they were saying like you have to, as a writer, this made sense to me, and they were like, write what you know. Because
yeah.
if you're doing any sort of art form, I mean, even like for me, I do
Yeah.
what I
No,
do.
it's your craft. Yeah, it's
but
the same
but I
thing.
didn't get into it with the idea of like, oh well,
Other
people
people's
like this and this,
perceptions.
so I need to be more like that.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, with your artwork, I think, and that speaks for itself. Anytime I see your stuff, I'm like, wow, this is like I wouldn't have I wouldn't have even thought to like make it like that every time. So,
Yeah.
and I even noticed that with the progression of like when you first started doing it and now. Um,
Yeah, I think it
yeah.
goes for like anybody that's making any form of art. It's like you kind of just have to like let go and like
hmm
just create like what's coming to you and just not worry so much about how it's perceived or like taken into.
Yeah.
It's like you kind of just have to like do what you want to do and just let it.
It'll speak for itself. It'll speak to the
Yeah.
right people too, is the other thing. Like whether it's a fan base or other artists, it's like you don't, if you're gonna do something to attract people or do something that you want to speak to other people, it's gonna speak to the right people. It's gonna speak to people that are like, wow, I needed that in my life. I wanted to
Exactly.
like, this is like my vibe, or this is like my aesthetic. And
Yeah, it's
so
like
it's like
being able
very,
to like make people feel something, whether that's like
or feel
happy,
seen.
sad, uncomfortable, even like
hmm
just making people be like, "Whoa, that's weird." Like
No,
it's
it's
still like
true.
a good feeling.
Banksy said his art, he was like, art should comfort the disturbed and disturb the comfortable.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's like that's kind of how I feel with some of your stuff.
Yeah, I'm
Like,
also
oh,
trying to
it's for the
like
freaks.
Yeah, it's definitely for the freaks.
For the freaks and the misfits of the world
For
versus
sure.
like the horse girls.
Yeah,
know?
definitely some people are like a little bit uncomfortable by it, but like I said, that's kind of like, I just want people to feel something. And
Hmm.
I'm also trying to learn like patience when it comes to creating, because I feel like I'll start something and then I'm like, okay, I need to finish it like right now. And then I'll just rush it. And then I'll like
Hmm.
look back on it and be like, oh, like this is fucked up. Or like, why did I do it like
Yeah,
this? Or like I'll notice things about it that I don't like as
you did
much.
put, yeah, when you like try to rush any sort of project, then you don't feel as proud about it, but you also, like the thing about being an artist is it's your craft, and
Yeah.
you have to like not only be patient with yourself, but be patient with the whole process of like creating and oh and yeah, no, but creating the right
Yeah.
things, but yeah.
It's yeah.
Yeah.
It's a work in
Where
progress.
where do you usually like find your vintage magazines? Or did you I remember you say you had a collection.
Okay, so it's funny because I feel like mainly I use vintage Playboys
Yeah.
and even like vintage National Geographics and stuff like that.
Mhm.
But now that thrifting and everything vintage is like such a fad, it's like
Mhm.
way harder to come across. So basically, when I first scored a bunch of vintage Playboys, like I was searching on Craigslist and somebody had
Oh.
like all of these boxes of vintage Playboys and they were like free, just take them. They were like it was like this guy's dad's vintage Playboys that were
Hot.
just I think he passed away and then he was like going through his stuff and they were like
Mhm.
all in the basement and he was like, "Oh, they're all water damaged, so just get rid of them."
Mhm.
And I pulled up to his house and he had like 3 giant totes of vintage Playboys.
Oh shit.
And I like made my ex drive me hella far to go get them. I was like, "We're gonna go get
We have
these
to go get
vintage
these.
Playboys."
Yeah.
Like, he's like, "Okay." And then we pull up and he gave me 3 giant totes and then he's like, "There's more, like if you want
Oh my.
more." And I was like, "Okay." Like I wasn't really that into like collaging yet. So I was like, "I'll
Right.
just take these and like this will be enough." But I kind
Mhm.
of look back on it and I'm like, "Why didn't I fucking take like all
All
of
of them.
your."
It would
And they
eventually.
were water damaged, but they really weren't that bad. Like
I almost feel like I would feel better about like because then you're like cutting up and like using it for crafts.
yeah, exactly.
It's
Well,
like
because it's kind of people are like, "Oh, these are worth a lot of money," and you're just like cutting them up.
you're like, okay, do I save these? But then you're also like, well, I don't
It's
get
like
to
I
like make
could, but then
something.
you read through the Playboy. Like
You're
I
like, there's
read
only
through
so
all
many
the well,
times
not even
you
that, but
can
it's like I
read through
read through all
them.
the magazines and I get like low key a little bit angry because it's like there's so half of my collection is from the 60s and 70s. So it's like
Yeah,
misogynistic, like all just like geared towards men and it's
yeah.
like how to create a perfect wife and like please you orally and like all this
Please
stuff
you
and
early.
I'm just like fuck this.
Right.
So then I just like cut through and I'm
I
like
love that. No, that's almost like a almost gives your art more meaning to it because you're like taking the past and getting to present kind of like what we're in now. I feel like with porn and sex and just being a woman, it's like way more liberating to,
oh yeah.
you know, whatever type of woman you are, whether it's modesty or nudity or your sexuality. It's like they're realizing you can't just put someone in a box for those kind of things,
It's
but
just
you can craft it.
some
You
of
can
the
create
things
something
in
very
these
beautiful.
magazines are insane. Like
Yeah.
it's like you could never in a million years get away with that
Now.
kind of yeah, it's just I mean, it's like homophobic, misogynistic,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
even racist. Like it's bad. So I'm like
Yeah.
happily just like tearing up these magazines trying to create like something
I love that.
better. And yeah, I
Yeah.
just scored all these Playboys. Everyone's like, "How the fuck did you get all these magazines?" Because they do.
Yeah.
They're worth like something now.
but in like the best way possible. It's almost like you're rewriting history with like your art.
I'm trying.
I love it. Are there any artists whose work like inspires you? You would say?
I feel like when I was really young, I was like obsessed with Andy Warhol.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't know why. I
The
was
pop
just,
art kind of
yeah,
stuff.
just like loved that like pop art vibe and just kind of, I don't know,
Mm-hmm.
like out there neon, like,
Yeah. No, he was great.
and of course, like Dolly, just
Dolly Parton.
No,
Oh,
Salvador
sorry,
Dolly.
it's like Dolly Parton.
No,
Sorry,
I mean she's great too, but like
like,
just with like surrealism, like
yeah,
Salvador
yeah.
Dolly.
I'm sorry.
He's great.
Dolly Parton too, though.
I mean, love her.
Love her.
Also, like
Tennessee royalty.
Yeah. There's this collage artist that is called Slime Sunday. And
Okay.
it's like contemporary collage, but he's awesome. Like his art is like
Okay.
very similar.
I have to look at him.
Yeah, you would love his
Amazing.
art. It's like
Okay.
vintage Playboys and just like a lot of nudity and
Mm-hmm.
everything he makes is just, it's digital, so it's different. Like that's the thing is
Mm-hmm.
there's not a lot of like 100% paper collage artists. It's just way harder to like manipulate the scenes and make them look a certain way, you know.
I was gonna say, didn't you just do your first digital one? Because everything
it's
you've done has
mainly
always
paper.
been
Well, yeah, it's like
by hand.
I think I prefer doing it by paper just because it's a better distraction.
The same way with writing. Like
Yeah,
typing
it's like
feels weirdly like it's not as real versus
it's harder to
writing.
flow. It's harder to have like everything
that's what
come out and flow. And I feel like when you're having to sit there and cut things out, especially like tiny little pictures, and you're having to be so specific to detail and stuff, it's like you almost just go into this like meditative state and like forget about everything because you're just like focusing on
your craft.
Yeah, with the digital, it's like, you know, all these apps and things that you use, it's like AI, so it's like you can just like cut something out so easily without having to like do all that extra legwork, and
you're almost like it's more worth it in the end.
It's cool.
Yeah. I feel like
I think I like paper.
Yeah.
More.
That makes sense. Well, speaking of Dolly Parton, is Kentucky the South?
Kentucky is like...
I was going to say, I was always thinking about... Actually, you're one of my best friends, so I don't technically know which one you're from. So which one are you originally from, Humboldt or Kentucky?
It's like a mixture. It's like...
Which one were you born in?
I was born in Kentucky.
Okay.
I was born in Kentucky and then moved to California when I was 5. And then lived there until 5th grade.
Okay.
And then moved back to Louisville.
Healthy.
And then, went to middle school and high school there. So I feel like I've spent basically equal parts of my life in both places. Like Kentucky's like my roots, but Humboldt is, I feel more connected to Humboldt.
Yeah. That makes more sense, actually. But because I was going to ask, like, from your childhood, what are like some dishes from your childhood that, whether it's your mom or grandparents, I don't know, whether it's from Kentucky or Humboldt, has there been like a dish that always just makes you feel like, this is home? This reminds me of being like 3 years old, running naked through the redwood forest, and then like being cold. Because for me, like, I always think about food from, like, growing up in Humboldt. Like, I don't really remember being in SoCal, but certain soups or certain dishes, like, after, like, running around a cold, like, because it's always cold in Humboldt, or like a long day at the river with the family, and then you come home. Like, what's like a dish
Right.
from your childhood that always gives you that feeling of like, wow, this will always bring me back to little Cass. Like,
I feel like honestly my mom just like makes the best mashed potatoes ever.
I believe it.
Like it's so random, but that was like my comfort food when I was little. I'd always be like,
Mhm.
make mashed potatoes, and she puts cream cheese in her mashed potatoes, which is like her secret
Oh,
ingredient, but I'm
we'll
just like
cut
a
that.
potato.
I'm
I know,
kidding.
I'm like she might
She's
get
gonna be so
mad if she
pissed.
knows that I'm like spilling the family secrets, but
No, it's cool.
I'm just like a potato girl. Like I just like potatoes in any form. It's a
Yeah,
beautiful vegetable. Like
it
you
is.
can
No,
just do so much with it.
it's the best.
And yeah, her mashed potatoes slap, honestly.
That makes sense. I
They
love
just remind me of
those moments.
yeah,
Because for
being
me, yeah,
little
I'm
and
like when you
just
think about certain dishes like that have just stuck with you through your whole
yeah.
life, that's always very special
Yeah, what
to
are
learn about
yours?
someone. Mine,
Yeah.
my mom would always make this broccoli cashew soup.
Oh,
That was the only
that
thing I
sounds
liked when
fire.
she tried to make us vegan when we first moved to Humboldt.
I
Dude,
feel like I need
so
cheese.
annoyed, but that was like a good dish she would make. And like thinking about like being at Coastal Grove or like out in the Redwood Park,
Yeah.
running around, feeling like kind of like flustered and cold from being outside all day, and then eating that with like brio breads, like sourdough rolls.
So
Like
good.
I
Literally the
was like,
best.
so that was like mine with my mom.
Yeah, I feel like especially river days out in Humboldt, like you come back
That
and
one's
you're just like
yeah,
always hungry.
so hungry and so tired.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm always craving the randomest things
My
after a
favorite
good river
thing,
day.
what are your favorite like river snacks?
I feel like whenever we go to the river, I always stop at Wild Berries and get a sandwich.
Mhm.
They just like make the best
Literally since like
sandwiches.
childhood.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's always been Wildberries or the co-op, like
Mhm.
with like my family, and then like when you get into high school, and then even after, like to this day, I feel like it's a almost religious act to like
Oh, it is.
get a
Yeah, you have
Wildberry
to.
sandwich. Some fuck, what's the seltzers we have there?
Clarity?
Clarities. Get a
Yeah,
sandwich.
clarities and a
Get
good
some
wild
kettle
berries.
chips.
Yeah, that's the
Clarities.
combo.
A jug of water, you go to the river for like
It's so
5 to 6
nostalgic.
hours. Yeah, I'm like, well, what I wasn't drinking alcohol, but like
Well,
but
yeah.
yeah, it's always been like the sandwich, the kettle chips, and like
Oh yeah,
yeah,
the kettle
like
chip.
a drink, and you're like good for to be out in the sun and in the river for the whole day.
I miss it.
Me too. We'll be there this summer. We'll have to.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. There's also like a special thing about Humboldt, like it's a small town, but like even when we became friends, like all the restaurants we go to, even if it's a small town, it's not like a bougie restaurant.
Oh
Like
yeah.
I feel like it's a love language for me and you to go Wildflower, no
Oh
matter what.
yeah.
We're in
That was the
town.
spot. I mean,
Whether it's like you're hungover or just like it's a cold, rainy morning in Arcata.
I feel like Wildflower and Tomo are like the
Those are like our staple.
yeah. That's like Tomo reminds me of being a kid in Humboldt and like
Yeah.
always eating.
There's something very special about like we have our pros and cons with like being from such a small town, but I will say I think food will always be the thing that makes me have a very fond memory and healthy relationship with Humboldt.
Oh, for sure.
And like thinking about just all the phases of life that we've been through, whether it's Brio Cafe, Wildflower Cafe,
Yeah.
Tomo, the dishes we got, or the food you learned to like. Because I always
Right.
grew up like very picky, and then
I know, me
through
too.
becoming a cook, I was like, okay, I need to try things. But
Yeah.
it's like Humboldt's such a special place to get to do that because it's also like very.
Yeah, it's like it's like a conscious place with like a lot of like farm to table, like good fresh local produce, like
Yeah.
just really good for that kind of thing.
And I feel like it like makes us have a different standard for food.
Oh, definitely.
Like as
Like I can
adults.
tell when I come even down to LA and I'm like, oh, this like isn't fresh, or like you know, we're like at this nice place, but
you're like, what?
It's like, is this
kind of mid?
Where are these ingredients from? Like they weren't grown like a block away.
I know.
Kind of
like versus we go to Cafe Phoenix and the garden's right there.
Yeah.
It's like it is a different world. It's like, no, I feel the same way ever since I've been living here. It's like I can't be as impressed or like indulge in food the way I could in Humboldt.
Totally.
When you grow up eating grass-fed meat and eating like farm to table, it gives you a different, and you kind of grow up realizing like how much food goes with like your mental health. I mean, your physical health, but also like your mental health. Like, seeing how much more clear you are with eating like good meat. Or, well, you're vegetarian, but
slightly. I'm working out of it.
She tried to eat fish last night.
I'm pescatarian. I eat fish regularly. But I'm working my way towards red meat.
Yeah, okay.
I was raised vegetarian.
I know you were. That's the thing.
My mom's actually vegetarian. She's like way worse than I am.
Yeah, that's true. Like, she's religiously about it.
Eggs.
Oh, that's like vegan almost.
I know. It's weird. Like I learned how to cook scrambled eggs when I was in 3rd grade because she didn't eat eggs and her friend taught me, and I was like, this is the thing I know how to make.
I know how to make eggs now.
So I just ate so many scrambled eggs.
Love that for you.
But
yeah,
you know,
it's okay.
It's a staple.
It's a staple, yeah. But now
I'm
I also
out.
well, like I also like last night when I was at dude's house, I was like, yeah, I'm having dinner with my friend. She's vegetarian, not by choice. She was
forced.
Well, I was like,
it's a hippie religion.
I was like, she was raised by like deadheads. Like, I don't know how else to put it. Yeah, I'm like, I know it's because there are certain people where you meet and you're like, oh, that was just part of your life. But last night, she was trying to eat salmon, and
it was salmon collar.
So,
which I've never had collar like that. There was
weird.
A lot going on. There was like a fin.
There was a fin.
And like some.
She was like, oh, this is scary.
Some cartilage.
So I like, and they also didn't give us like real utensils because it was a sushi restaurant. So I took a chopstick and I started like whacking the fish to get the fish off the bone for her.
I was like, this looks
And then
great.
after I like give her the plate, like she's 4 years old. She's like,
I was like, I don't know.
She just looks at it. She's like, I don't know. I don't know about this.
It was like, yeah. It was like really fatty and.
Mm-hmm.
It was good.
Were there any foods you disliked as a child, you would say, but enjoy now?
I mean, meat.
I was going to say, well, I don't know.
Well, like, I mean, I'm trying. I'm on.
You're on the path.
That's my goal. It takes a long time. I'm honestly envious of. It's so stupid and just like a normal thing, but I'm like envious of people that ate meat. They're like growing up because like I have this weird association with it where I'm like, oh my god, like this is an animal, and it's like,
yeah,
that's just stupid. Like, I just don't. I don't want to be like that. Like,
I know you want to turn that part of your brain to be like,
I genuinely
it's food,
do think
nutrients,
that you need
protein.
I think you need meat. I think I think the whole like vegetarian,
you hear that
fad,
vegans?
Like hype. I think it's bullshit. I honestly do think it's bullshit. I think it's like
she's been vegetarian her whole life, and she just
it's not real. It's like if you're trying to save the planet or like animal, you know, it's the best thing that you can do is shop locally and support local farmers and local, like,
Yeah. No,
you
again,
know,
I'm like growing up in Humboldt, that's like
like that's the best thing for the environment that you
yeah,
can
like
do
our
and
like
animals.
Coastal Grove's principal was like a 4-H person. Like
Right.
we had 4-H
You're like
programs.
raising farm animals.
Yeah, like that was kind of part of the deal. Like
Yeah.
growing up in Humboldt, like and knowing that it's part of a
Bigger.
yeah, it's a system. It's not in the I don't know. I
That's why it
watched
was hard growing up in Kentucky because
yeah.
everyone was like, "What? You're a vegetarian?" Like, was so rude to me and bullied me, and then I came to Humboldt and everyone's like, "Oh, like what?
Grass-fed
You're eating
beef.
cheese? Like, that's
Cypress
bad."
Grove,
Yeah,
though.
it's like I couldn't win. Like I honestly
Yeah.
never felt like fully
You're just always this yeah.
like I've been bullied for what I've eaten no matter like when I first moved back to Kentucky from Humboldt,
Mhm.
you know, my mom's making me like hummus sandwiches with sprouts and like blue corn tortilla chips.
Okay,
Your
that
face.
sorry, I'm like
But people
that
are like people are
sounds
bullying me. They're like, "Oh,
I
you
might
have
have bullied you.
grass on your sandwich and like why are your tortilla chips blue?"
I would have bullied you, but that
And
would have also been your friend and been like, "Yeah, my mom gave me
I mean, I
this."
love a good
My
hummus
mom
sandwich with sprouts.
hummus?
You don't like hummus?
Just hummus on bread?
No, there was more cheese,
Okay,
lettuce,
I'm literally thinking you're
tomatoes.
eating 2 pieces of bread with just hummus and
No,
sprouts.
it's just you know when people say turkey
That's your,
sandwich,
like
when people say turkey sandwich,
that's your meat is what you're
it's
saying.
not just turkey. I had a turkey sandwich. It's not just turkey.
I know it's not, but I'm sorry, but when I hear I ate a hummus sandwich.
I honestly used to hate the hummus, and now that I make my own hummus, I like it.
Oh, you make your own hummus.
I mean,
What do you put in it?
garbanzo beans,
Interesting.
tahini,
Tahini.
garlic,
Yum.
lemon juice, olive oil.
Well, I feel like it needs a little paprika, then we can
Oh
talk.
yeah.
Then maybe I'll eat a hummus sandwich
I'll
after
make you
that.
one. You'll like it.
I'll like it. Okay. I'm trying to remember from like living with you, but what's like your ideal morning meal? And like, do you eat in the morning? I forget.
So I'm actually like a huge breakfast girl.
You are.
Like I
Okay.
love brunch. I would prefer brunch over dinner any day.
Yeah, no, I remember like my like go-to spot for dates was like brunch at Wildflower. I was like,
Yeah.
if you want to go, if you want to get to know me,
Yeah.
we're going to Wildflower at 10 a.m. Like
Yeah,
I don't give a shit about
brunch is the
dinner
best.
or a bar.
I feel like the whole atmosphere and just vibe around
It
brunch
is.
is just
It's
better
almost like
than
more
dinner.
vulnerable.
It's
Because
like
dinner, you're at brunch. Well, I guess you can drink alcohol at brunch, but at
oh yeah,
brunch,
you
it's more
can.
like you have the whole day still.
Yeah, well, it's
So
like
I
you're
feel like
setting
you
the tone for your
really
day.
for
Like
the
you're
whole
able to be
day.
like, oh, we had a great brunch. Like now I'm gonna have a great day. Like I just
Mhm.
love like getting like, you know, drinking mimosas at brunch and like a good eggs Benedict and then like
Mhm.
being like, okay, what are we gonna do after this? Like,
Gotta go for a walk in Redwood Park or go play with your dog.
yeah,
Yeah,
I just love brunch. Like I
brunch
hate
is great. Now that you live in the
the
more
bay.
city, yeah, you live in a city now, so it's like
It'll be
I will
better.
say,
It'll
I'm
be even
like,
better.
yeah, I'm like
Like I'm honestly used to just making my own food. Like living in Humboldt, it's like
yeah,
although the food in Humboldt is like
but
good,
there's
quote unquote, but
there's
it's
also that whole mindset of like, okay, I'm gonna go to this restaurant or cafe and I'm gonna go run into like every person
yeah,
I
running into
know,
everyone you know or like
every ex's mom.
I think the food in Humboldt's good, but there's also like it's also kind of like shitty in a way because like there's not a lot of competition, so it's like these
Yeah,
restaurants can like continue doing
mid.
the bare minimum and people are still gonna
Yeah, be like, well, it's
like I would cook most of my food when I lived
yeah.
in Humboldt. Like I mean breakfast, lunch, and dinner, like
Mhm.
cooking nonstop, which I love cooking.
Mhm.
So it's
There
fine.
was, yeah. No, yeah. I've seen you do a few dishes now that I'm always like, oh, impressed.
I'd be
I'm so
chefing. I'd be chefing
proud.
up.
Chef Cass.
I love good. I love cooking.
Kind of want to get a little deeper. Are you ready for that?
I think I'm ready. I'm always down to get deep.
That's what she said. What would you say are some like life events that shaped you?
Everything ever. I don't know. I think the big ones are probably like obviously like my dad passing when I was younger.
Yeah.
And then moving back to Humboldt when I was 17 and I was
That's why we became friends.
by myself. I was all alone and I wasn't even 18 yet, and I moved back to Humboldt by myself and lived in the CR dorms. And
very interesting choice.
It was just
I forgot that
scary.
That was
like
No, I mean
even though I had like a little bit of a friend group and like safety net, it was still just being that far away from my mom, and she's like the only
I mean, it took me till 24.
It's hard. It's hard moving away,
especially
and that far.
When
like
you grew up with like a single mom, and there's this like codependent relationship you have with them.
Yeah, she's like my best friend.
I mean, me and you, there's like so many similarities from like not just childhood, but even like as adults, like that me and you, I feel like have both had to go through in the last like few years, whether it's leaving Humboldt or like kind of losing a family member, losing friends, and then like also having to like reestablish your relationship with like the most important person in your fucking life. Yeah. But it's like, it's hard, like having to set boundaries with like a mother, and especially that one that we both have said this before, like that we feel they weren't just our mom, but like our best friend, as well as almost like our life partners. Yeah. So it's like there's this very interesting codependency you have. Totally. That makes it hard to like just leave. It was even terrifying. Like, I can imagine.
I was like, what am I doing? Like so scared. And then it ended up being like the best decision ever. I think like the scariest decisions that you have to make are usually the best ones that are going to benefit you the most in the long run. It's like overcoming those fears and just, believing the impossible and like going where the fear is like
it leads to the most growth.
Yeah. Like that's the only way to really expand and grow. Even now, like just going through the move that I did, obviously it was only from like Humboldt to the Bay, but I was still like nervous and stuff. But then I just kept reminding myself, I'm like, oh, if I can move like across the country at 17 by myself, I think I can just like move to the Bay. Like I'll be okay.
Yeah. No, for sure.
Yeah. It's just like being independent.
Yeah.
It's kind of like a lesson that I'm continuously learning.
I love that.
It's like you remember it, but then you forget, but then you.
That's why like certain events have to like keep happening, whether it's like karmic or just your own choice. Yeah. To constantly remind you like, oh, this is my path. This is the right decision. Like. Totally. Yeah. I even remember you saying you're like, oh, I'm kind of like nervous, kind of anxious. I was like, they were texting. I was like, yeah, well, like the last few years for me. Like,
exactly. I'm like
each decision, whether it was moving or changing my career as a whole, and
it's you're just like an inspiration. Oh, I mean, just like to a degree, I'm like, oh, like
because of this, it's like that's why I was trying to tell you that day. I was like, dude, honestly, like all the scariest decisions for me, like that I had to make on my own, led to so much more. Yeah. And it's just it opens new doors.
Do. It's like you're not gonna be able to actually grow as a person or like change. It's it's like you can be unhappy with how your life is, but taking those steps to actually change it are very intimidating and hard. But then once you do, it's just a million
There's
times worth it.
yeah,
It's
it just keeps going up.
like I just already feel instantly so much happier.
Yeah, you were even saying like the animals were
Yeah.
like grounding out more and like not being as like
Yeah.
anxious energy, which I'm like, I feel like that says a lot. Like, whether it's like kids or animals like that are in your household, if they're susceptible and like have feeling good about the energy where you're at, you're
Totally.
like, okay, this was the right move.
Yeah.
We're in a good place. Rue's happy.
She is. She's so happy.
And the cats are happy.
Yeah. It's awesome.
Let's see. Ooh, you'll like this one. What's something you learned about yourself from traveling? Because we both do love traveling.
I love traveling so much. I think the biggest realization is like just how small you are and like how big the world is. And it's like a humbling feeling, you know, to be like, there's a million people out there, like, especially if you're like unhappy with the people that you're around or like the place that you're living, like traveling, you just experience so much more. And yeah, I also feel like I kind of realized like just like being like a normal like white person in America, like you just like don't have like a culture, like, you know, the lack of culture is like is strong.
Yeah, no, for sure.
And experiencing like other places and people and cultures, you're just like, wow, this is so beautiful.
And how like accepting they are of
Totally.
us versus like when you hear stories of people coming here and you're like,
yeah, people in other countries, like compared to America, like everyone's so friendly and just the way that they're just so welcoming and like give so much and prioritize like family and connections like way more than we do. We're like,
they really want you to feel like at home.
Yeah.
Like they really care about making people feel comfortable. At least, yeah, I'm like in my experiences. So
yeah, what do you think? Like what have you learned?
Honestly, same thing. Like my favorite thing to do is like my favorite part of traveling sometimes is just being in the airport and kind of seeing how people react to flight delays. And like having to be in crowds and like I'm just like sitting there kind of chilling, whether it's with a book or listening to something. I'm just like people watching. Maybe I've drank a few glasses of wine. I'm just kind of like, I'm chilling. Like I don't have.
That's why it's hard traveling with some people because some people just cannot roll with the punches, and it's like things aren't gonna usually ever go your way.
No,
like you have to be able to just like adapt and be like, okay, I have no idea what's going on. I don't know where I am. Like
and like not stress the fuck out.
Yeah,
like,
you're
that's
just like,
mostly
okay.
why I refuse to travel with anyone. I feel like we could do it, but like I haven't.
I'm easy to travel with.
I don't think I've traveled with another human being since like I had like a family trip to Mexico like when I was like 15. No, 17. No.
Yeah. Family trips are hard. At least for me, they were. Like my grandparents would always take us on cruises. And those are just so weird.
I remember you had some fun stories about
That's like what people in the Midwest do. They're like,
go on cruises.
I'm gonna go. Yeah, they go to like Florida or they go on a cruise.
Where was the one place you went? I remember there was one.
I went to a bunch of places.
Oh, I thought.
I've probably been on like
Florida
5
Keys.
Cruises. Yeah, I went to the Keys.
That's what it was. I remember you had some fun.
I would never go on a cruise now, though.
Right.
Like I did that in high school.
Yeah.
Because my grandparents were like, yeehaw.
Yeehaw, go on a cruise.
And it was fun. I mean, it was great. But also just Yeah, traveling, just the food. Like I feel like that's my
Yeah.
favorite part is
Ooh.
experiencing all the different
Yeah.
cuisines.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's
What's
definitely
your
my
what
favorite part.
out of all the places you've traveled, where is like the best? Like, what's the best cuisine you've had traveling? Like, is there a certain dish, or is there
I
like a
should
place you've traveled where like every day was kind of like a hit? Like,
I should say Italy. Like that's like what that's
I
what
should.
what would be expected, but
Right.
honestly, like when I went to Thailand, like
It was Thailand for me
I was
too.
obsessed with all of the food there. I just like love Thai food and like
Southeast
Asian food in
Asia, Southeast
general.
Asia, I think just there's no
So
losing.
good.
There's no losing.
All
Because
the
the other thing too is like
curry.
Italy is great, but it's also like I
It
want to
was
wear a bathing
different in a
suit
lot of
after.
ways. Like
Yeah,
Thailand,
I think that's the other thing too is like
it felt fresh. Like
yeah,
everything in Thailand felt really fresh.
well, especially like Southeast Asia, a lot of their stuff is plant based,
Yeah,
but it's just also really
like
really
naturally
good,
plant-based,
and
yeah.
it's I don't know like their spices and their seasonings that they use
So good.
versus Europe. Like I love Europe, I love the cuisine I've had in Europe, but no, like Singapore or like Thailand. I really want to do like Vietnam next. Like there's just
I
a
want to go to
lot of
Vietnam really
places.
badly.
Yeah, I just think all of that area
So
has like
good.
figured out cuisine on a different level, whether it's street food or like a, Michelin star restaurant.
Yeah, like
You're like
every
never
place I ate
gonna
at in Thailand, I was like, this is so good. And it's so affordable and
like
just
that too is insane. I'm like, okay, I go to
like
like
you'll go to like
Paris.
a little
You got
hole in the wall and it's like
yeah.
this little like old Thai lady that's like doing all the dishes, cooking all the
Hmm.
food, taking all the orders,
It's
like
almost like you
doing
just go into
everything.
their house. You're like,
Yeah.
oh,
I'm like, oh, okay,
I
sweet.
guess it's just us.
That's the best.
Where do you feel most at home, you would say? Especially now that you've lived in quite a few places.
I mean, I don't know. I feel like humble
Yeah.
and just like at my mom's house.
No. Yeah.
Yeah. Definitely kind of like wherever her
Energy
home
is.
base is. Like
Yeah.
I think yeah, for a while it was Kentucky, but now that she's not there and it's just my grandparents, it's kind of like I don't know, Humboldt's just always felt like home. Like even when I moved back to Kentucky for middle school and high school, Humboldt. I
Yeah.
was just always thinking about Humboldt and like always wanted to go back and was like, that's
Hmm.
my happy place. That's like
Yeah.
and like even though I just moved and I'm like, fuck Humboldt, I still like love it like
Right.
so much.
No,
I just
it's
like can't be there anymore right now.
yeah. Being a woman in your 20s,
Like it's a
I
good
feel
place to like
like
settle down or like raise a family
yeah,
or retire,
that's what
but
that's what I mean. I'm like being in your 20s though and wanting to like I don't know, explore and figure your shit out or just have
it's
more
hard to grow
more
there.
in that well, that too.
Like
And date.
yeah, yeah, don't talk about dating there's
We're
the
not gonna talk about
worst.
dating in Humboldt.
Yeah.
The same 5 dudes for like
Dude,
the
and
last
that's
like
how you
10
know who your
years.
real friends are because it's like the dating pool is so small. It's like,
Dude, I
and
don't
then
know
if your friends
how.
don't date the same dudes as you, it's like, wow, this
Yeah.
is a miracle. Like,
I don't know how like all of us didn't
overlap ever with
overlap.
anyone. Yeah, we did
We did
good.
good.
We did really
We have like a
good.
pretty big friend group.
I know.
Like,
Yeah, if we can
I
do
don't
that,
know. Yeah. We can
we can
well
overcome
that's why like
anything.
honestly now I just don't yeah, I don't really worry. I'm like I feel like anytime we
Yeah,
all go
like
out, I'm like, I don't think any of us are gonna be into the same
no, we all
dude.
have very different
Such different
tastes,
tastes.
which is good.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
not at all.
I'm like thinking about all the people you've dated. I'm like, nope, nope. And then people who I've dated, I'm like, there's no fucking way she would fuck him.
No,
Like,
definitely not.
well, no, not even just like because of me, but I'm like, oh, even if she like ran into that dude at a bar, she'd be like, mm.
Yeah, we have totally different types.
Yeah.
You're into like attractive guys, and I'm
Shut up.
into not attractive. No,
I
I'm
just
kidding.
got into attractive guys. This
Oh,
is a new
okay.
thing,
Okay.
just so you know.
I'm trying to get there.
I wasn't always. We're not gonna name names, but like you know my track record. It's
Yeah.
not always
I
been.
mean, yeah, compared to mine, you're doing good.
Yeah. Well, a lot of them were like.
It's hard. It's hard when you're up there and there's no one, and then your standards are like
very
so low. Yeah.
Everyone grows. Everyone is low key a drug dealer or a construction worker or doesn't have a job.
It's
Oh no,
slim pickings.
it's slim pickings.
You gotta work with what you got.
Mm-hmm. No, I have. That just made me. I have 3 exes. How would you, and we're not going to name names, but the 3 that I'm thinking of, I want you to describe them as a dish. Your 3 exes.
Well, one of them is,
Yeah.
probably just like vanilla ice cream.
I know which one that is.
Just like really basic standard, like still really good, still hits the spot here and there, but like
it's a stable choice.
You can't survive on it though.
No.
Like it's not
gonna make you come.
Pretty much.
No ice cream isn't gonna get you there.
And then the other ones, I'm like
the 3 that, well, one of them I don't know him personally, but you're like your first love, and then the other one I'm thinking of is I know him. That's all I'll say.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like that's hard.
What is it? What homeboy from Idaho? That could be I don't know.
He's a
potato casserole.
He's for sure a spud, which is
He's
like
I
love potatoes. So
no,
like
it's not a bad thing.
Yeah, it's great. We love potatoes. Definitely.
I want to know what. Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like that's hard. I feel like that was so long ago. I don't even. I like block things out.
Oh God.
Not like that.
Say
but
he's a cocktail. How about that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The good old.
Oh, what's it called? What's that alcohol?
Honestly, like
absinthe.
I feel like as a dish, he's like a like bar food or like sports bar food vibes.
Yeah. That makes sense.
Just like fried pickles
he's
like
a fried pickle.
Things like that. Yeah.
No, that makes sense.
I need to find like a good gourmet dish guy.
And like Michelin star dish.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My standards are higher now.
Yeah, that's what happens when you move out of Humboldt.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. Wow.
Yeah, no more.
I'm trying to think. Oh. Yeah. No more food ones. We're good with that. I think we're good on food questions. Let's see. Final thoughts. Okay. Well, I feel like I've asked you more than enough questions. I know there's some fan submitted questions.
Oh gosh.
So how about we answer some of those?
So before we jump into that, at the risk of being fired, I do want to say that the hummus sandwich did sound pretty good. So
at the risk of being fired,
I'm on Cassidy's side with the sandwich.
If it was just hummus, okay, fine.
I got bullied for it.
Too. It wasn't just hummus.
I know. Once she said that, it was like,
cheese,
okay.
sprouts.
No, I get it. Now that like I'm thinking about it, I'm
you
like,
were
oh, that
raised by
sounds...
hippies.
I know. That's why I'm like, okay, I get that.
It.
Okay.
I'm just saying it sounded good.
It sounded good.
Yeah,
okay.
I wouldn't bully you in school.
Thank
for
you.
that.
You guys would have been besties eating sprouts. And
I was the
hummus.
only vegetarian in my middle school.
Yeah,
Or
that
there was
makes-
one other girl.
I did also have a follow-up question to that. So you said your mom's a pretty strict vegetarian, right? How does she feel about you like trying meat now?
She's definitely curious, but she says she's proud of me, but I think it's up for debate. I think she's low
Sounds like
key
my mom with porn.
yeah, she's like, I'm proud of you, but I wouldn't do that.
I wouldn't do that.
I wouldn't make that
That's
decision.
literally- Wow. So you eating meat is equivalent to me doing porn when it comes to our
Yeah.
mothers.
We're both experiencing.
New meat.
Yeah, exactly.
That's experiencing new meat. That's the title.
I think she's supportive though. Like she understands that.
Mine or yours?
Both. Mine, both. Yeah.
All right, so
Yeah.
we do have 2 fan questions.
I wonder.
A couple of fan questions for Cassidy. What's your secret from Salt and Stars? What's your secret to long-lasting friendships?
Oh. I think
I could
Just-
answer that for you.
I think-
but you should.
having people that just like genuinely understand you and appreciate you for like who you are, like they don't
Mhm.
try to change you or like judge you or
No.
I think acceptance is like the number one thing. Like I feel that way towards you. It's like,
Mhm.
you know, just everything that you're doing and have done. I've always been 100% supportive, like, because I know that you.
Yes. But I will say too, you as a friend, what keeps it almost like so there's so like such a strong core in our friendship is honesty.
Yeah, I'm very blunt and honest.
Very blunt and honest. But when you need to be. Like it's
Yeah.
never like
I've had to work on
whether
that.
it's been like a certain ex or like a certain situation in my life, you've always or like just certain experiences, you've always been very honest. And even like as a friend, like how it's affected you without making it about you, you're like, hey, I'm concerned, or hey, like, you know,
Yeah.
I just can tell you're not in a good place doing the shit you're doing right now. Or yeah, even like because me over the years, I've had to get more comfortable with confrontation or like
Yeah.
that. I remember like right away, like being friends, you were always good about being like, hey, like, what's up? Like,
You
we
shouldn't
need-
do that.
You should do this. Or it's like, hey, like, I feel like that was weird earlier. Like, you're way, you've always been really good about just being like, hey, like, I felt this way when you said that, or like when you did that. And then, like, you were just better at confrontation than I was. I feel like I've gotten better at it, but that was always something.
It's hard to do.
But that was always something I like saw you and like respected as like, okay, this is like a solid friend, because the friends that like are passive and don't talk about shit, I'm
Yeah.
like, those are the ones that you're like, okay, well, that's not.
It's like surface level.
Yeah, you're just like, well, there's nothing here to really build a friendship on then.
Yeah.
If it's so I always felt appreciative of like your
Aw.
bluntness, honesty.
I care about my friends a lot. Like
Yeah,
I feel
'cause
like
it never-
that's
well, it
my
never
family.
felt like you were-
like
It never felt like you were being like rude or like
I
you
try
were
not
trying
to
to
be
be judgy.
judgmental. I just
no, but that's why like
it comes from a
any-
caring place. Like
and that's why I'm
even
like,
if it comes off harsh and blunt, it's like a caring place. And
yeah.
my friends
Well,
are
I
like my
think-
sisters. Like as an
Yeah.
only child, it's like
I think me and you both do this thing where like we might be blunt or like harsh at first, and then later on you're like, by the way,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
I, like, I should have
Totally.
been way more soft about that.
when I've learned like better approaches to,
Same,
and
I
I'm
mean,
not
that's a
overbearing anymore. Like I try to just like let my friends do their
experience
things.
there,
Like
yeah.
even if I don't agree with it, like I'll definitely let them know my opinion just so they know. Like
no, for sure.
because I feel like I wish sometimes my friends would
do that.
do that to me because I'm like, how did you guys let me be such an idiot? And they're like, well, we didn't want to tell you. Like, you're scary. Or like,
You're scary.
we didn't want to hurt your feelings, but I need to be kind of like,
Mhm.
you know.
I just didn't know the last guy well enough. I didn't hang out with him enough to know.
No, yeah, not even that. Just like
But
in
like,
general,
and,
it's like,
yeah. It's a dance though, because there's like, I don't know, the times you've talked to me about certain things, it's like that's been about like health. It's been like other things, but like when it comes to like dudes or certain life decisions, it really is like I can't really say anything because this is gonna have to be something you experience on your own.
yeah,
Even like the one ex that I dated, like the one that I dated that didn't meet you guys ever. Like to this day, like that was always like something that icked me, and to the point where now I'm like, if the girls aren't on board, like
Yeah.
you're gone. But I was with someone for a long time that never met them, and
I mean, it's
he
hard to
was
tell
not a good person.
people. It's hard to tell people what they don't want to hear. Like,
Well,
they have
even,
to be
like-
receptive of it, and it's like,
Yeah,
you
but
know, you
even-
can lead a horse to water, but you can't
yeah,
make them drink. It's like, you can
Yeah.
be like, hey, these are all the red flags, just so you know. But
but yeah,
you saying that necessarily isn't gonna.
they're gonna be like, but red's my favorite color.
Yeah, it's like, but it's like they have to learn that lesson on their own.
They have
like, as much
to-
as you want to be like, no,
yeah,
no,
and
no, it's like,
prevent anything from happening. It's unless someone's like a danger to someone, it's like we really can't step in until
yeah,
if dude just sucks, it's like, oh, she'll figure it out.
totally.
Yeah.
So the last question, other question we wanted to ask was from Haley Pennington. What's your favorite memory with Lumi?
Oh.
Favorite memory?
Oh, I could. Never mind.
What? What's yours?
After that
Oh,
one.
oh, I already know what you're gonna say.
Yeah. That was
Yeah,
like
probably. Yeah, that's a
that was
good-
like a
so
core memory.
We used to live together. We were roommates,
Mhm.
and she worked at the creperie, and she would open the creperie
6 a.m.
6 a.m. Yeah, super early. And one time I stayed out and was with this guy, and it was my birthday. And I stayed up all night with him, and then I came back like all hungover and excited, and just like, oh my god. And then you were like, come to work with me, like I'll make you crepes. And I was like still a little drunk, and you were like,
Yeah.
it was just you and I in the restaurant, and
Mhm.
you were just making me crepes at 6 a.m. and it was so cute. I was like, no one's here. Like,
Yeah.
we had the whole place to ourselves, and that was like,
Yeah. That
really
was
fun.
like one of my favorite memories.
yeah, that's a good one.
That was a good one. Yeah.
And just like living together, like, yeah, a lot of
Yeah.
different. We have a lot of good memes.
I have a funny one. Well, actually, it was the next day when we went to, was it the Plaza Fair? There was something happening at the Plaza, and all the Aussies were there. But the
Oh.
night before, she brought like seven of
There was
them.
a lot.
There was like she was high on mushrooms. Went to a party down the street from our house and brought home like 7 Aussie dudes. And they were all high on mushrooms. And they were fun, but yeah, I was like, wow, okay.
You're like,
And then the next day,
"Hello."
I was like, I felt like everywhere we went, there were Australians all
Yeah,
of
and
a
then they were just
sudden.
everywhere.
They
And
were-
then they became problematic. It was like,
then they weren't chill. They became very entitled. I was like, I don't know, it's like
Humboldt's so
over
small.
down
It's like
under.
if you meet people, you see them everywhere afterwards.
Yeah.
Like,
But also, like, I don't know, hookup culture in Humboldt, it's like, it's so much more casual because you're like, it's almost incestuous because you're just like, oh, well, I fucked that guy. I don't, doesn't matter. But like, these Aussie dudes were like, scary. They got weird. They wanted to procreate.
they
I was
wanted to
like,
procreate.
they wanted to procreate. They wanted a green card. I was like, no.
Mine didn't.
Mine literally, the first thing he said was like, we would make a lovely offspring.
Shut the fuck up.
I was like, no,
That's
thank
amazing.
you.
But I'm really glad you didn't do that.
Fuck no. Jesus. No. No. God. There's so many weird memories like that now that I think about it.
We're gonna create a lot more. I'm excited.
I know. Oh. It was like a recent one. I didn't know that this house doesn't have a
Oh
doorbell.
my gosh.
And then Hallie. So her and my friend Hallie, who asked that last question, they stayed with me a month or two ago. One night, she got locked out, and none of us were here. So I told her to ring the doorbell because I thought Remy was home. And I was like, "Yeah,
Well,
just
I went on a date,
She
and
went
it
on a
didn't go
date.
how I planned. And then
She was over
no
it.
one was here, and she was like, "Oh, just go home and like ring the doorbell. Like somebody will answer." And I show up, and I'm, decently drunk, and I'm like, "Where's the doorbell?" And I'm like looking around, and I'm like, "There's not a doorbell."
There's not a doorbell.
And then I'm like calling you, and
Yeah.
your phone was off, and then no one was here, and there wasn't a doorbell. And then I
There
ended up
wasn't
having
a
to get a hotel room.
doorbell.
I had to just get a hotel room down the street.
It's not the most proud moment. And then the
Well, now
next
you know.
night,
You don't
now
have
I
a
know there's no
doorbell.
doorbell here. And then the next night, Hallie got locked out, but we were here. And she scaled the
She scaled the building and climbed up the balcony.
Up the balcony.
And I woke up in the middle of the night and was like, who is this person standing on the balcony? I was like, this is scary. And she just came like hobbling in, and she's like, ah. And I was like, oh my God, like it's you.
It's you. What are you doing here?
That was a fun weekend.
That was such a shit show, but fun. Yeah, weekend. Yeah. Oh, she met Bobby also. She met Bobby
Yeah.
Lee. And she was like,
That
the
was
amount
fun.
of comments I got on that photo.
Yeah, he's great.
We do. We're a big Bobby fan here. Where can the people find you?
Instagram, c.did.y.
Yeah, I was like, c.did.
c.didd.y. Or my collage page, Sticky Pages with 2 Ks.
Love that.
Sticky Pages, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It's up for interpretation.
Sticky pages. Yeah. Well, you guys can subscribe to see some more BTS on my OnlyFans at Lumi Ray, at Lumi_Ray for Instagram, at Lumi Ray with 2 Ys for X. Almost called it Twitter. Don't want Elon to show up and shoot me in the leg. So, thank you guys for tuning in.
Yay, thank you.